And a very good afternoon to you. Welcome along to FP2 here in Spielberg, home of the Red Bull Ring and the home this weekend of Round 8 of the Formula One World Championship in 2026. And we rise 678 metres above sea level to tackle this 2.68 mile circuit. There are only 10 corners, of which 3 of them you take at full throttle. So really there's only 7 corners here, and it's fast and it's furious throughout this lap. Last year's pole time, Lando Norris, 103.9. So the second lap of all time underneath 64 seconds here. Max Verstappen has the most wins and the most poles as well. 4 of them in the Austrian Grand Prix and 1 in the Styrian Grand Prix. And he did the poles on the C5 tyre, softest in the Pirelli range. C4 is the medium, C3 is the hard. The hard was rather left alone during free practice 1, which intimates to me that it could be the favoured race tyre by the teams. It's a gorgeous sight. It is a staggeringly hot day here in this part of Europe, as I'm sure it is back home in the UK and the Republic of Ireland as well. 32.
It seems even tougher this year to keep the tyres in a good window temperature-wise, so yeah, it's going to be a challenge for all the drivers out there.
It's that thermal deg which makes the tyres fall apart.
Exactly, but then there's the thermal deg across the surface, then there's the core temp time now. Most of the teams that didn't have reliability issues got a good amount of running, a good idea of what they've...
Reports have suggested. Straight back from Mikis, he simply said, if we make the car quicker, then Max will stay. These questions will disappear. But crucially, Crofty, I thought the timeline was interesting. He put an emphasis on this upgrade this weekend that will prove whether this car is getting quicker or not. That's what I'm talking about with the MGU motor generator unit and the battery, and they wouldn't confirm or deny it.
So it's true then?
Yeah, well, that does tend to be the way in Formula One. They're quick to deny, aren't these teams?
Yes.
If it's not true. So I can't confirm or deny. So that's just telling you what they're saying officially about the 1 kilo weight saving on that. Right, Williams, Alex Albon. And yeah, the car wasn't...
Which is the extrication bucket, as it's known, so extraction, I should say, so in case the driver has
if it's anything to do with cool suits and that, he said yesterday he wasn't actually going to be wearing a cool suit. And there you go.
No, I think Valtteri's thing I was saying was cool suit.
Yeah.
I think Checo's is quite clearly a bigger problem. I mean, this is a big worry, isn't it? Because they've obviously had the 2 or 3 hours between the sessions to investigate why it stopped.
Change the ECU, thinking that will help.
And they've gone straight back out and had a problem.
The problem is it's learning a whole new car again, so something that might have been easier to put a finger on now is a bit more challenging.
Meanwhile, down at Mercedes, Ted.
Thank you, Crofty. Yes, the George Russell info. So I'm seeing that the car is back together. The nose is just going on, and the work that was going at the back of the car, I'm seeing some of the guys who work on the transmission actually just finishing their work. So I wonder if it was some sort of transmission change that they were making.
Overheat the tire anymore, even more. So it's a bit tricky.
And when you're heading into turn 1 and you know that you're not going to get the temperature and the grip that you necessarily want, and you're doing what, 185 miles an hour, something like that, into turn 1, what do you do? Just like hold your breath and hope for the best, or what?
Yeah, I mean, you just you gotta kind of predict what the car's gonna do in a way, and hope you've done a good warm-up. Hopefully by the time qualifying comes around, you've done enough laps that you know what's gonna happen. But
we're doing that.
Turn three was tricky, especially with this temperature. Yeah.
And looking at this session,
that's what I do.
How many days do you reckon you've done?
Oh, it's I'd say average 3 a week.
Wow.
So I don't know how many weeks into 2026 we are, but you can do the math.
Yeah, quite a few. I tell you what, Franco Colapinto's.
I have no idea.
We'll find out. We'll go and ask Mike Crack later. In the meantime, that's Lando Norris at turn 3 again, and this time he's managed to spin round. I don't know if Anthony Davidson is at turn 3 and whether we can go and actually talk to him. Maybe we will in a couple of seconds. But he might have seen exactly what happened there to Lando Norris and can give us a bird's eye view. Actually, we'll find out here from you, Jamie.
He's got some nasty flat spots, so I'm going to say he's locked up here. No, he hasn't. He's just spun. Carried a bit too much minimum speed and lost the rear. So, yeah, bit of an unusual one there. We're usually seeing people lock up coming into turn 3. But yeah, he just carried a bit too much speed, caught that curb with a bit too much wheel, and around he goes. So yeah, tyre temperatures and tyres aren't going to be thrilled about that right now.
Or the floor, to be honest, because that's
Might have got away with it just
the bib right at the front might have clipped.
Interesting though, 6th and 7th on the grand scheme of things isn't a million miles away, but the gaps are huge. So maybe that's something they'll be more concerned about, and there's more to that. There's 4:10 between Charles and Lewis at the moment. Obviously Charles sat out FP1, so he'll be getting up to speed, but yeah, that gap is when Lewis hears a radio message of how much he needs to find. That's too much for a driver to find, so they need to find something in that car, either engine or mechanically, to at least...
From Liam's experience, Liam is benefiting by having a teammate that is going to push him all the way. His attitude is absolutely spot on. I couldn't be more happy with the two of them, he said. Why would I want to change this lineup? And it was really refreshing to have like an honest chat with the CEO about that. And he said, look, we're quite happy as we are.
Yeah, I think it's always a funny one for that team in whatever name they've been, right from Toro Rosso, because
many cars do this, and I was here, in fact, we weren't on camera at the time, but I was here to see Lando just pirouette the car around, just losing the rear all the way through the corner. It's very slow speed here, around 40 to 45 miles an hour after that long climb up the hill through turn 2, around 20-25 meters elevation gain just from 2 to 3, slightly mid-corner. So yeah, the Ferrari definitely, with their smaller turbo perhaps, not having to keep it spooled up as much, revving quite as much as particularly the McLaren. I can hear them really racing down the gears. Here comes Ollie Behrman in the Haas. He's just on an outlap as well, I believe, on a brand new set of soft tyres. So an excellent place to stand.
How much do you adapt your driving style? How much do you try and adapt the cars to you? Because there's still a lot they can play around with. Yes, it's the chassis is what it is, but there's still a lot that they can alter and play with systems-wise. But he's got to get on top of it. And so that's part of being a racing driver, is you just got to adapt, and it's tough because you've been dominant for so long, and then now it's going to suddenly turn on its head a little bit.
All part and parcel of being a racing driver. It's a fair point. You got to deal with what you're given and the cards that are dealt out to you. George Russell down in 6th, Lewis Hamilton on the
exit of 7, and the Audi just missing the apex ever so slightly, and that stays with you all the way through the corner. There's Lewis Hamilton, and you can tell the cars that are, or the drivers that are a bit more comfortable in the car, because they're right in between 5th gear or 4th gear. So you arrive in 5th gear out of turn 6, and then you lift downshift for some of them. That sounded like a downshift there for Leclerc, and then you're back up through the gears as you race up the hill towards turn 8. It's absolutely brilliant to be here, and you just feel the energy and the body language of every car that comes by here.
Count them, 7 upgrades coming into this weekend. Front wing end plate, front corner, new floor design, rear corner, rear suspension, rear beam wing, and a rear wing itself. All upgraded bits, all on the car, and Hülkenberg, I think, last time I checked, was hovering around the top 10. Bortoletto maybe a shade quicker than him so far. So yeah, maybe a good weekend ahead for Audi. And pop quiz, do you think this is the closest circuit to Audi's Swiss home, being in the mountains, as we are here in Austria, Crofty? And we are here in Spielberg, Austria.
Love that. Thank you, Ted. Charles Leclerc running very wide, retired from a race, having a stone kicked up by Liam Lawson, completely innocently, like that. He just went off into the gravel, kicked up a stone, which found its way to the kill switch on the side of Nico Hülkenberg's car. It's like magnetised.
What are the chances? You'll have to do some sort of percentage of that chance, but yeah, I mean, it happens. It's unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, if you could intentionally do that to your competitor, you would every other lap, but it's 1 in a million, one of those things, and that's unfortunate for Nico. But on the positive side, reliable in some ways. That wasn't
from Oscar Piastri. Interestingly, the drivers will complete whatever laps they're on, take the checkered flag, and then they'll get to do some practice starts, which they didn't do in the morning session. This is early afternoon session. This is quite an important moment because no one's done any practice starts yet, because there's the pit lane exit to your right hand side. Can't do any there, not unless you've got a handbrake.
And it's a messy start procedure here, or not procedure, the run up to turn 1 can be messy, and then you've got the run all the way down to turn 3. So getting on top of that's important. we started to see the teams sort of find their feet with that now, and I think the disparities are much less, which is good. Although this kind of start now isn't the most representative. Obviously, usually we get to see them do, often practice starts at the end of the pit lane. We don't see that here. But the tyres are super hot. You can see a few of the drivers just cruising around here. I think they're probably trying to get a bit of tyre temp down, so it's a little bit more realistic to what they're going to experience on Sunday, but isn't quite, you know, the same as what they feel at the race start themselves.
Oscar Piastri second fastest, and second where of course he finished last year.
Can we call the brakes from that? Please call the brakes.
Yeah, I think some brakes have been on fire for like 5 laps.
Yeah, they are hot.
And you're going to park on the grid to do your practice start, and what we don't want is the brakes really catching fire, because we're going to need you to do this properly, because we need the data, Lando.
And that's part of the heat soak. As soon as they come to a stop, you've got no airflow, nothing, and it just heats up dramatically. It's sort of Valtteri Bottas with the bib and the floor. As soon as he comes to a stop, it starts to catch fire. So I'm sure we'll still see a few smoky breaks on this grid, but I think he's done a good enough job to cool them down by now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if we see any smoky breaks before the start of Sunday's race as well. I know it's only one formation lap, but given how hot it is likely to be, it wouldn't surprise me.
It is incredibly hot. Yeah, like I said, I don't fully...
This was the first track he ever drove an F1 car at. It was a TPC test, you know, one of the old cars. I think it was the W12 from 2021, when he popped into an F1 car for the first time, and then 5 years later, he's leading the World Championship. He's the quickest man on Friday practice. Thanks a lot, Jamie. Great to have you on the commentary box. Great day for Kimi Antonelli, Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris, last year's winner, who was fastest from FP2 all the way to the checkered flag, was third fastest. Max Verstappen, fourth fastest ahead of Lewis Hamilton for Ferrari. George Russell, Isaac Hadjar, Charles Leclerc, Liam Lawson and Gabriel Bortoletto completing the top 10, 1.2 seconds separated the top 10. It'll be closer, I would imagine, for qualifying tomorrow. Pierre Gasly on the fringes then of the top 10 ahead of Arvid Lindblad and Ollie Behrman, Nico Hulkenberg and Esteban Ocon. Colapinto, Albon, Sainz, Alonso and Stroll, with the two Cadillacs, the only drivers that didn't get a run in on the soft compound tyres. More woes for them. Could be another long night at the Cadillac garage. Let's keep our fingers crossed.